let us start with today's episode of Nature Favors Cross-Pollination. Now, what are the main learning objectives of today's lesson? First, we are going to learn about these few terms. The first one is unisexuality. The second one is dichogamy. The third one is the self-fertility. And the fourth one is the hercogamy. And the fifth one is the heterostyly. So this name, from these names, hardly we can get any idea. But let us move on to the first topic, that is unisexuality. So see, this first part is unisexuality. So what is it? Now here we can see a female flower and a male flower. So here this is the female flower and this is the male flower. So what this term means? This term means that the flowers may have only male part or they may have only female part. So either one of the part may be present in the same part. And the examples we have already given here, they are maize, cucumber, and on different plants also we can say that there are other plants also like palm, papaya and mulberry. So the flowers may only be male or female and they are either born in the same plant or they are from the different plant. So might be one plant is bearing a male flower and another plant is bearing a female flower. So the pollination occurs in that way. So that is again a cross pollination. That pollination is occurring between the flowers of two different plants and which will again need agents of pollination that we are going to discuss in the next video. So this is the term this unisexuality means. Now what does the next term? Now in this slide we are going to discuss about dichogamy. So what does this term dichogamy means? Now here the timing of maturation of the androecium and the gynoecium, they both are different. So as they are different, the difference, what is happening? The difference in the timing of maturation, it is acting always as a barrier. And it is as it is acting as a barrier for self-pollination, they are bound to do cross-pollination. So here also we can say that nature is reasonably, they are encouraging cross-pollination because the time of maturation is both the androecium and gynoecium is different. And in plants like okra, we can give examples like okra, sweet pea and all. So they are all, we can say that they are all dichogamous. So okra, sweet pea, they all support cross-pollination and they are all dichogamy. So what happens? The anthers of flowers, they mature earlier to stigma and that is called protrandus. So the anthers are maturing earlier to the anther. So that is protrandus. And when now these okra and sweet pea, these all are protrandus. And what is protogynous? When always the stigma matures earlier to the anther. So when the stigma or the female part is maturing earlier to anther, that is called protogyny. Why this genus or the term gyne is referred to female part and andros means male. So the part andros, referred to andros, is the male part. So anything where we can get the term andros is the male part and where the term gyne or gyne is there, it is the female part. Is it clear to everyone? So where there is, we are seeing that where it is protrandus, that means the male part is actually maturing earlier. That is, the anthers are maturing earlier than the female part. And the protogynous, there the female part or the stigma is maturing earlier than the anther, which is called protogynous or protogny. So this is dichogamy and this part is also what we can say, they are also encouraging cross-pollination. Now let us give two examples of protrandus. I have given already okra and sweet pea. Let me give two examples of dichogamy. So dichogamy, we can say apple and people. Apple, people, etc. where the stigma always matures earlier than the anther. That is, female is maturing earlier to the anther. So make it clear, in previous slide we have read about the unisexuality. Here we are studying about when the female parts are maturing in some plants earlier and they are called protogyny or protogynous, and where the male parts are maturing earlier they are called protrandus. Now next to this, let us see what is there. Now here we are discussing about self-fertility. So what does this term self-fertility means? We can see actually in some plants like apples and grapes, we can see that the grains of a flower fail to fertilize the flower of the same plant, but they fertilize the stigma of the flower borne by the another plant. So they are failing to fertilize the same plant. But what is happening? They are already, every time they are already helping the other plant to fertilize. So they are fertilizing the stigma of the other plant of the same species. Obviously an apple plant will not go and fertilize or plant like grape species. So all the plants of the same species, they fail to fertilize the flower of the same plant. So suppose these are preventing, this is actually preventing the self fertilization. So these plants also, they are not fertilizing the flower of the same plant, but they do fertilize the flowers of the another plant, and they are also encouraging cross pollination, and this is known as self fertility. And here also agents of pollination will be required, as this is a cross pollination where agents play a very important role, because it is not happening within the same plant. From one plant to another plant, it has to move on. So let us see what is there in the next one. Now here also it is an interesting term, that is hercogamy. So here we don't get any idea from the name that what does it actually refer to, but we can see that the anther and stigma of the flower placed in a flower, that the pollen grains from the anther, these pollen grains from the anther, they are unable to reach the stigma of the same plants. Now if you see this are the pollen grains, just follow my pointer, they are unable to reach the stigma because it is covered by some covering which is acting as a barrier. So this covering is acting as a barrier. So what does this word hercos means? This word hercos means barrier. So for that only it is called hercogamy. So now your learning or memorizing will be easier. So just understand these terms, go through my videos, and if you are having any problem, any questions, please write in my comment box, so that when I come up with the next video, you can get idea about this one. So hercos means barrier. So we can say that the anthers and the stigma are so placed in a flower that the pollen grains, they are unable to reach the stigma of the same flower. So example, a hood is covering, see, you can see a hood is covering in a pansy flower which acts as a barrier. So it is acting as a barrier. So is it clear to you everyone? So unisexuality was the first one. Next one is dichogamy. The third one is self-fertility. Fourth one is hercogamy. Now we are going to come to the last one, that is heterostyly. Now this is what is heterostyly. Now let us see what is heterostyly. Now heterostyly is some plants such as primrose have flowers with the length of the style and the position of the anthers is different. Okay, always the length of the style and the position of the anther is different in different flowers. So one type bears the stamens at a higher level and another type bears them at the lower level. So you just go through them. Just see what they are here. Just follow the diagram. Here you see the anthers here in this point, but here you see the style, it's here, but the anthers are here down. So this is a long styled flower, whereas this is a short styled flower. So here the flowers, we can say that the length of the style and the position of anther is different. So it is called heterostyly. And one type bears the stamen at higher levels and one type bears the stamens at lower level. And this also actually prevents the self-pollination and is also encouraging the cross-pollination. And the cross-pollination by insects here is only this method, because the winds can't come and collect the pollen grains over here. So the insects can come here for the nectar, and the pollens will stick to their body. And how now we will be learning about the agents of pollination. You'll understand how the pollens stick to their body and how when they move on to the next flower, the pollens get dropped there in the stigma of a flower, and like that only it continues. So the process of pollination is completed, then comes fertilization. Now this is a process which you will be learning. In the next episode, I'll be making you study about the mechanisms of cross-pollination, that is the agents of cross-pollination like biotic and abiotic agents. So for learning more on this lesson, please do get tuned to my channel, and please go through my channels, subscribe to my channel, please go through my videos. And if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please, dear students, please do subscribe to get the updates. And I have given many links in my subscription in the description box, sorry, to get the idea of various lessons which I have already taught. And if you are having any specific lessons or any specific topic to be taught, please do write there so that I can come up with the topic in the next episode. So as for today's episode, it's completed now. So coming up with the agents of pollination. Thank you.